Well, welcome everybody to the Hollow Bone with Phoenix. If you're new to this, being the Hollow Bone is basically being a channel for source energy where messages, healing, and even miracles can come through. And each week on this radio show, you can expect to hear live channelings that open up your heart and lift your energy, or even conversations with visionary leaders walking their own path of alignment, healing transmissions that flow directly through the Hollow Bone. So, whether you tune in live or listen to the archives, every episode is a chance to receive guidance, expand your awareness, and align more fully with the miracles waiting for you. Today, we are so blessed to have a visionary leader walking her own path of alignment with us. Her name is Babien Avila. There we go. Babien is #1 best-selling author in the Mission Hope series, and she has been in every one of the books so far, all 6 versions of it, which is like amazing. She is a spiritual teacher and counselor, as well as an ordained minister who serves as a divine angel channel. In addition, she's a published singer, songwriter, and vocal coach. Her mission is to heal, uplift, and guide individuals facing difficult crossroads in life, offering hope to those stuck in negative patterns or challenging circumstances. By combining her spiritual gifts with music, Babien endeavors to create joy, healing, and meaning in others' lives through her writing, her speaking, her singing, her teaching, and her private counseling. Oh my gosh. Welcome, Babien. We are just so blessed to have you today. And of course, as a divine angel channel, I couldn't be more excited. So welcome.
I'm so thrilled to be here, Phoenix. Thank you for having me.
I was just loving your chapter in the book, in this latest book, Every Heart Holds a Miracle. And when I read it, I thought, oh, this is a person after my own heart. I so got what you were saying. The title of your chapter is When Love Reaches Across the Veil. And I just, yeah. So let's talk about that first. And then I want to dive into you and what you do to help so many people.
Well, let's start from the beginning. I was quite young when this happened, and my mother had passed away. I had just graduated college, and she passed away just after my graduation in September of that year. And I had already secured an apartment in New York as I was starting at HB Studios, studying music, dance, theater, directing, and acting. And my father was very helpful and helped me secure an apartment. I got that going. I had a roommate and I was living more with him during the grieving period, but going back and forth. And so this went about 6 months, and I was about 22 at the time when this happened. And I had already started working in New York and enjoying a little bit of nightlife and socialization too. So I was coming home one night in a cab, and I lived on the Upper West Side. And the Upper West Side in the 1980s or late, it was around 1978, I would say, 79, right in that period when I moved in, and it was like the Wild West, okay? But it was a great apartment, 2 bedroom, cost next to nothing. I had a roommate. It was perfect. The only thing is, I didn't know, I wasn't really yet that street smart, even though I was born in Brooklyn. So I got out of the cab in a black cape and a hood, and a dress, and I went right out. And I'm going to ignore what just came in and keep going. I walked right into my building, and someone came behind me and literally put their arm around my neck and literally said, I have a gun to the back of your head. You're going to bring me in with you. And he literally was like this, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I thought it was a joke. So the first thing I said was, is this some kind of a joke? I thought it was a friend playing a joke on me. And he said, no, this is no joke. So I knew immediately, don't look at him, don't turn around, because that's it. You're done. You're done for. I had the key in my hand. I opened the door and I started walking in the building. And I was unsure of what to do, whether to get the elevator or go up the stairs. He's like, go up the stairs. And he yanked me. And we started walking up the stairs. And he said, where do you live? I said, on the 5th floor. And meanwhile, my mind is racing. And like I said, my mom had just died the year before, and it wasn't even a full year. And she hadn't started speaking to me in my head yet. But as we got into the stairwell and started walking up the stairs, I'm thinking, what is going to happen now? And he said, is there anyone in your apartment? I said, yes, I have a roommate. And he said, that roommate better not show up because I'm going to blow them away if they say a word. And it was a man too. And this man basically said, if he comes out of his room, I'm going to blow him away right here. So I was very quiet. I took off my shoes. I opened the door and we stepped into the apartment. And then he changed his mind. And he said, no, no, we're going to go up to the roof through the stairwell. And at that point, my mother started coming in because I was terrified. I knew I couldn't look at him. I felt deep inside that he just needed money, and I felt like he was a drug addict. I just got that impression. I'm sure I pulled it in psychically, but also then my mother started to come in and she said, do not, she said again, don't look at him. And she said, just go up the stairs with him and follow what he says right now. And I did. And he took me up just below the roof line, and then I wouldn't go any further. And they said, okay. And then he says, stop right here. And he grabs the cape, rips it off. He like pushes me down. So my head's like into this. I was trying not to hit my head hard on the stairs. And then he starts trying to take my pants off. Well, luckily I had on, it was that time period where you wore a lot of layers. I was a dancer as well as a singer, and I had a leotard, I had tights, or pantyhose or whatever you want, thin like pantyhose. I had on these wrap pants and a fancy top, and it was like a lot of clothes. So I made a decision right there and then. I'm not going to let him rape me. I'm not going to let him rape me. So I basically, he got down to getting the pants off, and my mother said, just listen to what I have to say. And basically, she told me to tell him, I'm from Brooklyn, because he called me a rich bitch. I said, I'm from Brooklyn. I'm not rich. I am street smart, and I understand what you need. I've got a Citibank card in my wallet. Just take the card, check it out, and get what you need. If you need a fix, get your fix. If you need, and I started talk more. I mean, I wasn't a street language person, but I started talking like that so he could think that he has the wrong girl here. You know what I mean? And she was just talking to me and trying to just impart the information. And she said, stay calm, don't look at him, stay calm. And it just went on like that for a while. He did have me pushed down and grabbing. He took what he needed. He said, okay, I got the card. He said, if you're lying to me, and he started cursing at me, which I won't do right now. He said, if you're lying at me to me, I know where you live and I'll be back and then it'll be all over. So basically, at the end, he took the gun and he hit me a little bit on the back of the head, but not enough to knock me out or, really hurt me badly, just enough to let me know who he was. And then he ran down the stairs.
Goodness gracious.
I'm sorry I got a little emotional, but,
Well, understandably,
um,
understandably.
and also, so it's not a story I could talk about until I did this chapter. And I basically said no to Shar twice because I couldn't handle it. I
Oh,
started getting heart palpitations writing it. And it wasn't something that most of my friends have ever heard about,
right.
just basically a few close friends. So I
Sure.
didn't know that I wanted to do this particular chapter. So I did say no to her. She had to really convince me. It took a few months, but I
Oh,
was one of the last ones to get my my chapter in. Um,
oh.
but my mom came through, and I had been a practicing medium in the Church of Inner Wisdom in New York in my 30s. That's when I got ordained, and I did have that ability, and I had always had intuitive and psychic ability since I was a child. But during the music years, I wasn't really using it that much. I was really much more focused on my music career. But this happened before I went on the road with an R&B band. This happened while I was just new to New York
Oh,
and just starting my adult life. So it was like a little bit of a I got schooled. I got schooled
yeah,
quickly. Yeah.
yeah. But you had so much courage to talk about it today. I mean, this is like I understand that buried,
It
story.
was buried. Yeah. It was really buried. I had almost forgotten about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which means you had done a lot of healing and on it. So congratulations on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, and the fact that that your mother came through at the time when you needed her the most, and I'm sure she hasn't stopped talking to you since, which is such a gift.
My mother, and she died, she passed away at 44. She literally was a chemistry professor and also a scribe and read the crystal ball. I still have her crystal ball. And
Oh,
so she was a very countercultural person. She wanted to go to Woodstock and then take me when I was young, and I was a little too young to go to
yeah.
Woodstock. And my father was like, no way. She took me to see Hair when I was 11,
Oh my
even though there was
gosh.
nudity on stage. She was a very interesting woman, extremely strict and Catholic strict when it came to certain things, but very, very the other way when it. And she was also marched with Martin Luther King, and she marched with the National Organization of Women for
Wow.
Roe versus Wade. So it's an interesting. The way I was raised was it was kind of a
So
interesting,
enlightening. Yeah, so
strict in one
enlightening.
way, but very, ahead of your time in another. So,
Well, and I would say that probably helped you with your gifts because as a
mhm.
child, when you're highly psychic like that, you have to have support. Otherwise, you just kind of stuff it all inside and you don't use them because, things happen when people don't understand it.
That's right. No, she was very supportive, and she taught me all. I mean, we followed Edgar Casey and the Association of Research and Enlightenment, and I knew about all of that. She took me out in the backyard with a telescope from the school and showed me the stars and the moon. She taught me about astrology, and then I started studying that as well. And she would talk to me about Venus and what happened when she was in her dream state. I mean, I had quite the education in the
Yeah.
extraterrestrial and psychic and everything else. And when they at school, because I always went to Catholic schools, they said, well, she's a little emotionally unstable and she cries and laughs too much. And they said, take her to a psychologist. And she no,
Oh,
she said no. She took her to a psychic friend of hers who said no. She just needs. She said. Take the Ouija board away. And this is when I was like 11, 12. Take the Ouija board away and
yeah.
don't let her, just be more careful with what she reads and she'll be fine. And it was true. I mean, this
Yeah.
is the kind of thing. That's the way she responded.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Oh
so
my
I had very
gosh.
unusual upbringing.
Oh, I would say so. Oh, you must have missed her so badly when she.
Yeah, yeah, she's
Oh,
been gone a long time. Yeah.
mm. So
So
now what led you down your path? I mean, obviously you had all these abilities, but what channeled you into the singer-songwriter angle here? And also, this spiritual counselor and, I mean, this is quite a developed venue that you.
what's interesting is that it was always sort of parallel.
Uh-huh.
Even though my first dream was to be a rock star at like
Yeah.
14, 15. And I always sang. She had me in voice lessons with an opera coach at 16. And I played piano back then. And I just wanted that. But I wasn't interested in the spiritual as a teenager so much, unless it was really interesting,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was like, I wanted to be Stevie Nicks. And, it was
Yeah.
more that for me. But what's funny is within a year of what happened, what I'm telling you about, I got into an off Broadway musical and it was called Ab Initio. And I was we were rehearsing and getting ready to open the show, and they did photos of the group, but also individual. For whatever reason, they chose my photo out of the six performers, and I found myself in the Sunday Post. No, no, not the Post. The Sunday News. Excuse me. The Sunday News full page. It was more of a photo than an article. A little bit of an article about the show with me in one of those wrap skirts of that time and a leotard, and the slit skirt and a standing like this. And at the top it said, "God is my co-producer." And that, when I look back on that moment, and that was around 1980, 81,
Wow.
and that was the beginning of my off Broadway and then cabaret before I went into the music business. I literally looked at that years later, and I still have a copy of it. And people were calling me from childhood. "Oh, you're famous now," and all this stuff. And literally, I said, "That's been my life.
Yeah.
God is your co-producer," and it's always been spiritual and music together.
Yeah.
And at some point, when I left the music business, I was in my early 30s, but I kind of got out of the touring end of it, which I found really dark, even though I loved it initially. But between all the drugs and everything that was handed, it was just a bit of a darkness about it that I was not resonating with. And they were asking me to do things I wouldn't do. And this was going on for years. Finally, around 29, I said, "I'm done with this. I have to take this in a new direction." And I kind of left the business before I was ready to. I continued on my own as a songwriter after that, and I formed my own band, and I got a record deal on my own. And it was a mix of music, but the touring thing, I was in a group called Fire and Ice. That was a very large. We were an opening act for Shaka Khan, The Temptations, and we were touring nationally and had a top 100 of the year record out on the R&B charts. So I was on a high level, and that high level is where it gets a little dangerous.
Yeah.
So I ended up turning down major deals in Vegas and tours and with Public Enemy and all kinds of opening acts. And I just I know we're supposed to be talking about the book. I'm
Oh,
segueing off,
no, no, no. No,
but
it's all part of
yeah. And
you,
so
right?
God is my co-producer. I decided to make my music about giving back and spirituality and for healing purposes, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, and even in my 20s, I was doing healing work on people, even before I got a Reiki certification. And it was just natural. So somehow the music brought me, and I still do music too. I'm working on a musical right now as a melody writer, but it's a lifelong thing. So that one full page ad in the Sunday News, it was literally was a guide for my life. So
Yeah.
from that moment forward, from 1980, 81 until now, that has been my story, one way or the other.
What a perfect logo. I don't know what else to call it, but it's just like it's a guide for your life is absolutely right. That is just like, wow. What a statement. And
So
so
the
so
yeah, I'm going to let
let's
you speak. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, no, there's just so much to talk about, and I'm like, I have so many questions, and I didn't know which one was going to come out first, but I'm really interested in your being the divine angel channel, and so do you
Mhm.
want to talk about that?
That's the work I do on a regular basis with clients, and I do it on usually Messenger video or FaceTime. I started off doing it in person, but then COVID hit, and I only got it once, and I got it from a client that came in person. So after that, I started working only on video, and it
Mhm.
was much better for me. And I found that because my altar is a sacred place, the area that I work, and all the years of working in this area, and I was doing Akashic Records studies as well, and a lot of channeling, it became such an incredible place that my channeling gift improved if I stayed there, and I didn't have to worry about the sort of the social end of being with someone in person. I could
Yes.
just tune in, and they could watch me, and I could still integrate what I was doing through the ethers, and it became the way I worked. And it's been an incredible amazing. Archangel Michael has been with me probably for my whole life.
Oh,
But once I went on board and I definitely said I want to go in this direction because I gave up more of the mediumship in the sense that it was bringing in too much. It was very hard on my physical body and it was bringing in a little bit of darkness. Not that non angelic ancestors are dark. It wasn't so much that, but a lot of the clients that were coming to me and also for the astrology work were coming to me with wanting me to break trauma, curses from many lifetimes ago. And this kind of work is really exhausting. And I didn't feel it was high vibrational enough. So I started studying more about angelic energy and vibrational frequencies and musical frequencies and understanding it was very different to channel when you're channeling high frequency. And
right.
I worked with Saint Germain and the Violet Flame on that as well, and it has worked so much better for me, and it's much healthier, and if anything, it's enhanced my health,
Yeah, I
not
would think so. Yeah.
detracted from it. So I found through trial and error on my own. Now that's not to say if I get a message from someone's loved one, and I do during channel sessions and readings and coaching sessions, I will give them that message because it's intrinsic to the actual session.
Yeah.
And they know that. So they only bring in what's necessary for the question as long as it's a family member or a very close member. So I let people know that up front. And
Mhm.
I do the channeling work as one line, and I'm also starting to do more coaching as another line. And some people cross over and want both.
Right, right.
It depends. So,
Subtle difference sometimes.
yeah, but it can be the same. And I call it spiritual coaching so people know that it's really coming more from that
Yeah.
background. But sometimes they want less of the channeling and more of the
Yeah. Tell me what
so
to do.
yeah, it's all healing work though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Oh my goodness, this is just so exciting. You sound like a person who's in love with your life and it's working for you, you know?
Well, after everything that I've been through, and there have been multiple situations and outlined in all the books that I've been through, and the first book started with, losing my husband in my house within 2 weeks and
Oh,
still raising teenagers, and that was kind of the beginning. And Char's just been an incredible motivational and visionary force. And we were
mhm.
friends before all of this happened in a meditation group.
Oh,
And she
perfect.
invited me. I was one of the first people she invited to come on the series because I was working on my own book at that time. And so it became a mission. And
Yeah.
so I jumped in, and she's just so inspirational as it is. So it's just been quite the inspirational mission and journey, and we're going strong. So that's been an incredible process for me and a beautiful group of people.
Oh,
um,
incredible.
it's been amazing, and I think we all have the same in our hearts.
Mhm.
What we want to do, we want to lift others up because we've been through it.
That's right.
And whether it be tragic situations having to do with loss, health,
Mhm.
um, depression, I, the myriad of things that people go through, and I think the fact that we're here basically to let them know that you can get through this to the other side, no matter how tragic. And believe me, there have been some tragic stories in these books.
Absolutely.
And, it's just, it's heartbreaking, but it also shows that it is possible to move up,
Mhm.
move forward, and find the light again.
Mhm.
And a lot of us work one way or the other with the divine. A lot
Yeah.
of us do. So that for me, that's been my guiding light.
Yeah.
That has been my guiding light.
Yes.
Without that, I don't know. Music as well.
Yeah.
I see,
Absolutely.
God and the divine, my guiding light, and music, my therapy,
Mhm.
basically.
Yes.
So, and it all
Yes.
comes together because I believe deeply that creative process is spiritual. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's divinely inspired.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And my kids have been amazing too. So they're now 30 and 28. So
Oh my goodness, isn't that
yeah,
hard
yeah.
to imagine?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're getting older, I'm getting younger, right? Don't want
That's
to
the way it
discuss that
works.
in. We don't discuss the age thing. No.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness gracious. So, wow. So, what else would you like your listeners to know? Like, what would be most helpful for your listeners about, like, when you're young and you don't know anything and you're just finding your way and you're confronted with something that's really scary like that? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would give them the advice that the only, and I'm going to say this more for today than I would have ever said even 20 or 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
The only security that you truly have in life is within you, is your connection to the divine. Now, the divine for different people are different things. For me, it's God, the angels, it's Jesus, it's I am not as much religious as spiritual, although I was religious. I was brought up that way, but I encompass all of it and I am open to all religious sects and I'm open to all divine. In fact, I'm curious about them. But
Mhm.
I would say connect with that spark of light within, even if you don't know what you believe in yet, because a lot of young people don't, you
Right.
know. Connect with that spark of the divine that gives you, that wakes you up every morning, that makes you see the beauty in nature, and and brings you love from your loved ones and family, and if you're in a love partnership or marriage, whatever it is, connect with that and know that that is your strength. And I call that the heart chakra. And
Mhm.
I believe that the heart coherence and the heart vibrational frequency is far stronger than the brain. And the brain is a magnificent thing. Believe me, it's a magnificent. But the heart is stronger. And it's been proven in quantum physics that the heart is stronger than the brain.
Yep.
So coming from the heart and dropping out of the mind, and believe me, I also know this from being a circular thinker and an overthinker. Multiple Aquarius planets, and I tend to overanalyze everything. But I have learned to come into the heart. So I tell my clients, I ask my clients, drop into the heart,
Mhm.
out of the head, and breathe with somatic breathing or rhythmic breathing, and take in the beauty of that spark of divine light. And then you start to find your strength. And once you feel your strength and raise your frequency, and the highest frequency really is the frequency of enlightenment, but right below that is joy. And then right below that is love.
Mhm.
So if you can get to love, and a lot of my clients are coming from the bottom, like grief,
Right.
sadness, self contempt, self
Anger.
loathing,
Hmm.
and then anger, which is actually a positive thing because that gets you up a little higher.
Yep.
And I would tell young people, look at the level of frequencies. I'll tell them to go to YouTube
Yeah.
and look at the level of frequencies and how they affect the chakras and where they lie in the continuum. And then you can see how your emotions will bring you to those frequencies and show you where you're at in the moment.
Mm.
And as you begin to feel better, because your frequency is rising, whether it be through chanting, which I was a Buddhist for years as well, chanting, meditation, humming
Yeah.
is incredible, which also helps the vagus nerve relax. And just visualizing that beautiful light coming up through your crown chakra and then go back down into the earth ground and then come back to the heart.
Mhm.
Then you feel your strength. I know that was a little bit long-winded,
Yeah.
but
No. It's so interesting to me how we do similar work and connect in similar ways and have similar belief systems around our highest helpers and things like that. So it's fascinating to me to just follow your process because it's like very parallel to what I do too. It's so interesting.
Yeah, but that would be I
Yeah.
I'm not being too concise, but that would be what I would tell them. And I work with kids. I teach kids music. So now I'm
Oh,
doing that 3 days a week also.
my
So
goodness.
at the School of Rock and Bach to Rock. So I deal for with everyone from a 6, 7 year olds with beginner piano to teenagers. I'm primarily a voice teacher,
Yeah.
and it's just beautiful to watch just the way I coach my daughter, who is now a singer, professional singer.
Wow.
uh, it's just beautiful to see how children will grow
Yeah.
with music. I'm not teaching spirituality at that school, but I have kids with special needs that come to me as well, and so I work with practicing it, in a healing way as I'm
Beautiful.
teaching.
When do you sleep?
Well, usually those schools open at 3, so
Oh,
I work from 3 to 7, 3 to 8, depending,
okay.
3 days a week at those schools, and then I do my other work at home. Uh, so it works out. It
Yeah,
works out.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
time for everything.
I used to work in New York for years as a marketing end of a sales team for Hilton and Marriott, and sold timeshares,
Oh no, I can't believe this.
luxury ones. And
How
that
did
was
you
kind
like
of
that?
fun too, I have to
Yeah.
say. And
I'm sure you were very good at it. I don't have a
yeah, I was a
doubt.
realtor too, so
Yeah.
sales. I enjoyed sales, but the grind got to be a bit much. So
Hmm.
I switched back to teaching and music, you
Wow.
know.
And are you working on a book?
I was working on my own book, and I have another idea for a shorter one
Oh,
that's going to be more. It's going to be more like uh, I don't know if I want to say the title yet because it's not finished, but it's about my mystical taking my mystical knowledge or my alchemical knowledge and
mhm.
using it to help people in a 10-minute period if they are hit with high anxiety, which is something I have battled. I
Yeah.
was in a pretty serious car accident last September,
Yeah.
and I started getting sent to the hospital back and forth with blood pressure up to 200 and all kinds
Oh,
of stuff. And I have discovered between EMDR and somatic breathing, on top of my meditation practice, I have discovered how to bring myself back to baseline quickly, even
oh,
if I'm driving or in a place where in public and sitting down. You don't have to be lying down by yourself in bed.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
want to help others with this, and I'm already helping my clients with this. So
Wow.
it's going to encompass those techniques
Yeah.
that are going to be more practical,
Mhm.
but coming from that, from the heart, from that mindset, but also utilizing the body. Because I have found the older I get and the more knowledgeable I become about all these things, we have to include the body in all our spiritual work, which I didn't used to as much.
Oh, I
And then I'd
understand
fly
that.
off because we are on the earth. And with the earth changes, we have to change with it,
Yep.
and we have to be connected.
Yeah.
And that's been a big lesson for me. So
Yep.
I'm helping others with that now. And besides meditation, breathing and vibrational frequency and musical sound
Mhm.
healing are the tools I'm working with now. Uh,
Beautiful.
Aside from the work, and I'm studying somatic breathing, and I'm also bringing these things into my coaching practice,
Beautiful.
life coaching, and I also recently got certified in NLP.
Oh, my goodness.
So so I'm trying to make it a holistic,
Yeah.
bring it all together in a holistic practice and help people in the moment because people need practical help. They
Hmm.
need immediate help,
They
and more
do.
now than ever because of anxiety. So that's kind of what I'm also doing on the side now, working towards that.
Wow, that's huge. That is huge because I think our nervous systems are so fried right now, and people are not feeling safe and they don't understand that. And so anything you can do to help them with that, I think is amazing.
And I only teach from what I go through.
Uh-huh.
It's not book, not, I mean, I do research too. I love to read, but
Yeah,
I basically, everything I have written and everything I have taught has
yeah,
been through my personal experience
yep,
because that's the only way,
yep.
even when I do my lives online, I was doing lives weekly for 3 years and it
Hmm.
got to be a little bit too much energetically and I had to
Sure.
pull back a bit.
Yeah.
But it's always been from my own personal experience and people will learn more.
Hmm.
And to tell you the truth, they don't necessarily believe if you're going to tell them. They have to know that you've been through it, you
Yep,
know.
and they have to experience it themselves too as you lead them
Yes,
through it so that they
yes,
really, get it that way. It's a visceral thing. Yeah,
yeah. And the
yeah,
earth is changing, and the vibrational frequency on the earth has changed dramatically in the last year.
absolutely.
And there's more to come.
There
And so we're
is.
all changing with it. And we are light workers. And it's important that we help people elevate themselves, whether or not we'll see them again, whether or not they're coming with it's not about that. It's just about helping them help themselves
Mhm,
and giving them hope that there is a better way to live.
mhm.
And I don't say that from any egotistical point of view.
No.
Better way meaning they can feel good,
Hmm.
at
Right.
least more than they do, if not every day.
Mhm,
Whether they're suffering from severe physical illnesses, or anxiety, internal illnesses, mental illness. And
mhm.
I've had to deal with that all my life too, because my husband, before he passed away, suffered from bipolar
Mm,
disorder. And, I've also worked with mental health issues.
mhm.
So it's all kind of together.
It is.
Yeah.
What encourages me is I've been talking to several people lately that have had near-death experiences, and their descriptions, they say, when they cross over, they're seeing the world, our world, in this glorious place of just unconditional love and beauty and everything else. And when they come back from that experience, they feel in their hearts that that is exactly what they're going to experience in their lifetime here. And for me, that is the most encouraging thing to hear because it's easy to wallow in all the things that are wrong. But when you have a piece of something like that to hold on to say, that is where we're headed, that just speaks volumes to me. Do you know?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And nature is the other thing I always
Yeah.
encourage my clients. Walk
Yes.
in nature as much
Yes.
as you can, even if
Yes.
it's 10 minutes.
Yes.
Walk in nature, be with the animals. These are, you can't, and tune out of media definitely as
Yeah.
much as possible, which I
Oh.
started doing years ago.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
it's because the dark will always go after the light, and but the light will prevail.
Mm,
And so that's my final message. The light will prevail, but definitely dropping into the heart is the other message, and finding your strength within, not depending on outside sources for that.
that's
Like,
right.
my house will save me, my location will save me, which, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Mm,
nice to feel that
yeah.
way, but we've seen just among the weather changes in the last 2 years
Mhm.
that's we can't look at that anymore the way we used to.
That's right. That's right.
The
Exactly.
security of the past was external, and now we have to look
Mhm.
at a higher version of that.
It's true. It is true.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to thank you. You've been so inspiring, and your courage in telling that very hard story has to just help so many people with your vulnerability, and it will help them to express, some of their suppressed stories too, because that's also part of the healing, I think. Not in terms of wallowing, but in terms of expressing for purposes of helping others. And that's where you're coming from always, and I so appreciate that about you.
Thank you so much, Phoenix.
Oh,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
having me.
Oh, this was just beautiful to get to know you in this way. I so appreciate this. And I know our listeners are going to just love this as well. So, wow, can't wait to hear feedback on this. It's going to be awesome. So, thank you, listeners, those listening live, those listening to the archives, and thank you, Babien. You're just
Thank you so much.
amazing.
Blessings.
Blessings.